Good morning, Big Brother Hometowns. We're back again for a lovely Friday edition of Morning Tea with CLC. Happy fucking Friday. Let's be done with the fucking work week. And get to the weekend for us, like, I don't know, like industry people, I guess. For those who work in like food service and on the front lines who don't have a typical Monday through Friday work week. Sorry. But we're gonna enjoy the weekend. Here to discuss everything from yesterday, day 5, a very interesting and, dare I say, chaotic day in the BBH18 house. And I've got some amazing friends to come on and talk about it. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Crispy. Spoiler alert, Lee is not here, so the two guests that are here are offended. Hello, Steph Fagan. Hello, Ryan Lilly. Not oolong. I could not tell you. Honestly, I don't drink a lot of tea. So, maybe one is soothing, the other one, I don't know, maybe one's caffeinated. I don't fucking know. Don't ask me. They're both making their BBH18 Morning Tea debuts this season, but they've both been on the program before. I feel like yeah, I think so. I was like, I'm gonna say, like, you've been on it, even though you were on last season. But I was like, I'm pretty sure I've had you on despite not being an alumni because we treat everyone equally here. Anyway, from production, it's K-pop.
Hi, not you forgetting that I was on the first morning tea of the season.
Oh my god, girl, my memory's real fucked up. You were. Oh my god.
Thank you. Maybe I need to ghost you instead.
Truly, you're correct. My god, Jesus Christ, that feels like an eon ago. You were on it, Jesus. Yeah, we had a full party on day 1. We did. I forgot about that already.
I forgive you.
Jesus. Thank you. Shut up. Get out of here, Lee, with your jank ass internet. Anyway. Joining us all the way from BBH17, he's been a loyal follower since BBH13, 12, one of those. You love him. It's Alex Trias.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Always. Again, everyone, if you want to be on, just DM me. We'll find a time. I'm flexible. It doesn't have to be at 10:30 Eastern. It should be in the morning, though. But like, we can make whatever work as long as my work schedule allows for it. We can do whatever, especially if the West Coasters want to hop on. I know it's early, so we can find a time. Don't forgive him, Kate. Now drag his ass. Get out of here, y'all. BBH11ers are cracked and wild. Leave me alone. I'm trying my hardest. Anyway, let's get into it. Where we left off on day 4. Frankie is the head of household and has nominated Gabby and Tony for eviction. Gabby is very much the pawn and Tony is very much the target. But we'll see here today on day 5 that all of this changes, because why not? Mm-hmm. To rehash what we have alliance-wise, because I'll surely forget it for BBH19 when I'm quizzed about it. We've got Primo trio of Jodie, Ashley, Keisha. The time zone, which is Keisha, Daniel, and Karthik. Good Morning Blake, which is Preston, Sam, Gabby, and Foser. The Discord Illiterates, Lauren, Michael, and Sam. The Heartbreakers, Daniel, Karthik, Sam, Madison, Jodie, and the Beautiful Disasters, which I believe is formed here on day 5 officially. I think it's the first thing we kick off on day 5 is the formation of the Beautiful Disasters, which is Ashley, Keisha, Foser, and Frankie. We've been expecting this alliance for a few days now. So they finally formed. They're the Beautiful Disasters. And those are our alliances. Not a whole ton. I'm very happy with it. And if my prediction comes true, one of these will disintegrate. So we'll be down to 5. But we'll get to that. We'll get there. Alliances that might be on the horizon is our Ticket to Ride alliance, Ashley, Keisha, Foser, Preston. We'll see how that plays out, but we'll also talk about the cons of being on these game night calls, because there seems to be some talk about it. And then we'll talk about maybe the possibility of a Judy, Tony, Michael Brady alliance. Michael Brady currently not about it, but maybe Michael Brady will finally learn that you need to be in some alliances and you can't play lone wolf all season. So we'll see. But that's just kind of the architecture of the house right now. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of the day. The day's pretty quiet to start because you got Gabby on the block as the pawn, Tony's the target. The house is in pretty near agreement that Tony's going to go home. Really, the only people seeming to comfort Tony at this point is Daniel and Michael are kind of like two of the only people who are like actually talking to him with actual substance. Like there's a couple people, like I know Sam Lechner, Gabby, other people are kind of like being like, hey, how are you feeling? But the only people actually having like long conversations with him, despite him being on the block and the target, are Daniel and Michael, because it's going to be pretty near unanimous if the noms stay the same. I think everyone in the house is pretty much there. There are some people who want to boot Gabby, Daniel, Keisha, Michael Brady, and they're all kind of aligned on that, but they kind of deep down know that they don't really have a huge opportunity here. So it's just kind of, just quiet because there's nothing really to talk about. But let's get into the man of the fucking morning tea. Let's get to Daniel. Let's just get right into it because Daniel kicks off this day and kicks off the day with the first real interesting point of today is out of fucking nowhere. Because I mean out of fucking nowhere, because Frankie's not talking to half the house. He didn't tell the noms they were being nominated. So there was no like way to like talk game with Frankie unless you're in the Beautiful Disasters. If you're not in that group, you're kind of, there's no way to really like talk to Frankie about strategy without just blatantly saying it, because he doesn't have a conversation with most people. So you can't be like, oh, how's your day? Great. Awesome. Let's talk game. You just have to come out the gate and say it, which is what Daniel does. Daniel sends a long ass message basically being like, would you consider backdooring Michael Brady? Would you consider, if the veto was to be used by the nominees, or even if you were to win it, would you be willing to backdoor Michael Brady? Frankie is caught off guard. I mean, we were caught off guard. I think most of the VL was caught off guard. It seemed to come out of thin air, considering what Michael Brady did for Daniel in round one. So they hop on call, and Daniel is like, he was just too intense. He campaigned too hard for me, and I'm not as close to Michael Brady as everyone thinks that I am. So, like, I would be happy to like cut that tie, lose that connection so no one thinks that we're a duo. He's just not someone that I want to play with. Let's talk about this call.
Yes, please.
Let's talk about thoughts.
It makes no sense. Like they're like, unless we're getting like, there's a lot of hidden information that he's not telling us. It's just like, it's very bizarre to, it's like right up there with Lauren putting up the person who gives you HOH. It's like the person who was actively out in front, put their, like, not put their neck on the line, but like they made it known. They put a stance. They were one of the first people to make a stance to say, you aren't going home. Like, I want you to stay in this game. And you're rewarding them by like, well, how about we backdoor them? Like, they're not really that close to me, even though they're a big reason why I stayed. And it's also just like this weird energy of, he decided that because he was put on the block the first week that he had to play aggressive, where that doesn't need to be the case when you are a first nominee. Like Kevin last season, was he aggressive when he was on the block? No, like Kevin was just himself. It allowed people to talk to him more, and then he was able to chill. Yeah. And like, even if he was put up again, he never changed his persona. He was chill, relaxed, and it worked. You don't need to play aggressive. So I don't like the idea of like the confessionals that we got today of him saying like, I was forced to play aggressive, and now I'm the one who's playing out in front, playing aggressive, and everyone else gets to sit back. I'm like, everyone else gets to sit back because you decided to be messy.
Yeah. And he's doing it to himself a little bit. Like, I think that there was definitely a different way to like go off handling this conversation. I mean, I know Frankie does ghost some people, but I feel like if you say, hey, I have this plan, or I have something that I want to talk to you about, that he's going to respond at some point. But to lay out in a text message, hey, why don't we backdoor this person, just seems a little bit unnecessary to like go about it that hard. And I think you automatically put the HOH, you put Frankie on edge, like going into this conversation, because you've already laid out this plan of hey, I want to backdoor this person, like let's use the veto. And if I'm HOH, I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
and BT Dubs.
where
BT
is this
Dubs.
coming from? Like, I want to backdoor who the house thinks is my closest ally round
Mhm.
2.
And like, by the way, no one knows what the veto is, or like the veto is yet. No one knows who won, and you pick the person who is competing in it.
Who's competing? I mean, on top of the fact that Daniel and Frankie don't have a working relationship. In fact, Frankie wanted to get rid of Daniel in the first round. So like it's a lot of it's a lot to take in
Mhm.
from all angles. Especially when they're on call. Daniel full on is talking about how he was on call with Michael watching Frankie's nomination video together.
Mhm.
And he was detailing how Michael was so relieved that it wasn't him and how Michael doesn't feel safe with Frankie. I mean, it's like the conversation was like half throwing Michael Brady under, but then kind of alluding to the fact that they call and they discuss strategy and they discuss things, which is more than Frankie's getting. Frankie hasn't gotten a single call with Michael Brady all game. So it's confusing because you're like, you're clearly giving him the time of day and you're all are talking about elements to the game, but here you are trying to get him backdoored despite all that he did for you in round 1. Michael Brady was a huge reason Daniel ultimately stayed in round 1 because once Michael went around being like, I have told Marcus to his face, I'm evicting him. Y'all do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. And that's when people were like, oh, maybe I should tell Marcus I'm evicting him. And that's when the numbers started to come in and the pro Marcus movement was like, oh, there's not enough for us to swing here. And that's what kind of, sealed the deal. Obviously, there were other elements that sealed the deal, but Michael Brady being one of the first people to be like, no, I've told Marcus I'm evicting him, kind of started people's movement on telling Marcus I'm evicting them. So it was just weird to see all of this come out. So Frankie immediately runs to Foser and is like, what the fuck? Like politely, what the hell just happened? And they both think that it's a scheme, which we know is not. It's not. It literally is not a scheme. Daniel was being fully authentic, and this is what Daniel wanted. But Frankie and Foser, from their point of view, are like, this makes no sense. None of this is adding up. And ultimately, they think in this like very convoluted plan that Daniel wants Frankie to nominate Michael Brady, damn well knowing that they have the votes to save Michael Brady in an attempt to like start this war between Frankie and Michael Brady. Which is funny, I mean, on so many levels, because one, Frankie and Michael Brady don't talk. They're both at the bottom of each other's trust rankings. They don't need a nomination to feel at war with each other. They already are. Like, it's not a full-fledged war, but like they don't see eye to eye. It's not like they need this like massive plan for them to like go against each other. They already are.
Right.
But yeah, they think it's a scheme. They think that this is not all, seems what Daniel is saying. There are some ulterior motives here that they can't see, and they don't believe a single thing that Daniel is saying. And this will begin his, dare I say, end game today. This might be the end of Daniel because of this call that came out of thin air, because I don't think Daniel was gonna be the renom. I really don't, based off the conversations that we had seen and heard. I don't think Frankie was considering Daniel. But now, on top of the round 1 campaign, which was very generic and promising everyone safety and loyalty if they saved him, everyone did. On top of this random scheme, it feels like a lot of gameplay. It feels like a lot for Frankie, and he's like, and also just go.
It feels like with this cast too, and you guys have more insight on it than the VL does, but it seems like this isn't a cast where the aggressiveness comes off well. Like, I feel like last season there was still like there were some people where like if you played aggressive, they'd be like, okay, I see you. Like, I see that you're doing this, but I'm okay with this. Whereas this season seems like if you push and you get aggressive, immediately people go to their production chats or to their number ones and be like, hey, this is weird. This person's like straight up calling me, telling me these plans, but like we don't talk. Like, we don't talk, and suddenly you're telling me to backdoor someone that you say that you're talking to. It's like one thing if he was talking to an HOH that like a Karthik, or a Keisha, like people that he felt very close to. You're talking to someone that actively was saying your name.
Like it.
Yeah.
There's no through line. There's no logic here.
This cast doesn't want to win power. They don't want to make waves. And I mean, Michael Brady and Frankie are, I think, some of the least connected people in the whole cast. Like, I think they're kind of, you know, towards the bottom. So starting a war between the two of them, like, does absolutely nothing for anybody. It's not like they're top and you're trying to like get yourself safety or your ally safety. I mean, they are some people that probably could leave in the next couple of weeks regardless of what happens. So like drama between all three of them like does absolutely nothing for the game. Like it makes no weight on the game at all.
Yeah, there were just nothing that I could walk away from that conversation being like, I see it. Like, I see the intentionality. I see what they're trying to get. I really don't know. I truly, minus, you know, Daniel. I mean, the only thing I can say is that Daniel just didn't want it to be him and like was pushing a different name. But like, and maybe it's the paranoia that got to him that thought it was going to be him. But it's like, it wasn't going to be you. But also, yeah, when you have an HOH that isn't necessarily with you, just be happy you're not on the block. This is not a week to try and impose what you want out of their HOH. Yeah. They're not working with you. Be happy that you're safe, not touching the block, and take that as a W. And let's get to the next round and see what the next round holds in store. Like, it is a marathon. It is not a sprint.
I did see someone in the Discord yesterday, and I don't remember who. So if you're watching, tell us that it was you, but was talking about how Daniel has gotten clocked in games before for like having a really close ally.
Oh, right.
And was like potentially maybe trying to get ahead of that. I don't remember who said it.
I think it was Andrew. I think it was Andrew.
Quote you. But I mean, that could be part of his motivation. But like you said, Carl, like you can't do that with an HOH that you have no relationship with against an ally that everybody knows is your ally based on the previous vote.
Yeah, and he has no power yet. When you have it's like the timing. You wait
Timing's also terrible.
Yeah, it's like you spend this time. And granted, a lot of people had me clocked very early on last season too, but like I had people in power most of the time in pre-jury, so I was able to just sit back, and spiral after vetoes to try to make a plan happen. But it's like you ingratiate yourself. Just talk to him on a social level, getting some like access to where Frankie's like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better about Daniel now. And then veto happens. If Michael didn't win, you could then flip that switch, be like, hey, I know you're gonna have to put someone up. How about him?
Yeah, we've seen it so many times in our series when people speak and put their foot in their own mouth before, and then the results come out and they look dumb. This being an example. I mean, BBH18 and the podium of it all. How many times we had HOHs being like, "Yeah, I'm going to nominate this person," and then they win safety from the podium. It's like, wait for all of the chickens to hatch, assess the situation, and then make a pick. Like, you got to wait because they were literally on the call, and Daniel was like, "Yeah, well, one." He might win the veto, so this all might be for nothing. But then two, Frankie was like, do you think you get the votes to evict Michael? And Daniel always says like, well, that might be tricky. Well, then why are you pitching this? Like, unless you are coming to me with a full-fledged plan of 6 people who you know are going to evict Michael Brady, so then I can break the tie as the HOH at 15. Why are you coming to me with this? Like, if you don't got a full-fledged plan, don't even. It definitely seemed very impulsive, and Frankie saw through it very quickly and was like, this isn't thought out. There's something going on. There wasn't anything going on. It just wasn't thought out, and that's okay.
It felt very live game and mini format. It's like not 27 days. It's like, oh, we're playing over a weekend and each round's an hour. Okay, I could just throw this out here because no repercussions.
Yeah, we gotta go. We gotta move. We gotta come up with something. Yeah, in a game like this, yes, we move quickly, but not that quickly. Ain't that quick. Well, let's get to the other man of the hour. It's Michael Brady time. Ever since Frankie won HOH, Brady has been feeling on edge. fully on edge, blowing up his DR, not feeling safe. So when he was not nominated and was picked for veto, he has been saying to anyone that is an ally of his, as well as to his DR, many times a day, that he is going to win this veto and that he is going to shake up the House. And that was his plan. His main intention was to make Frankie make a renom. He wanted more blood on Frankie's hands, and it did not matter who he had to risk, what he had to do to make that happen. And we'll get to my thoughts on that and our thoughts on that in a little bit. But throughout the day, I will say, to his credit, he definitely tested the waters. He called people. He told people that he was basically like, if I win, I'm already considering using it. I don't know on who. I want to talk pros and cons with people. I want to like test the water, see how people feel about what would people feel like if I won it and used it. So at least he was like testing the water. So when he ultimately does win, spoiler alert, and ultimately does use it, spoiler alert, people aren't like super caught off guard. At least they're like, you know what? At least he kind of implied it to me that this could be happening. Mm-hmm. So at least I'm not like in a full-on shock from this move. So at least he did test the waters. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about the pros and cons. He was very heavily debating who to save with the veto before he'd even won it. Before he'd even competed, he was already considering these things, which was, I mean, very ballsy, very cocky. But you know what? Hey, I love confidence. And I mean, he went in there and kind of ate the girlies up in the veto. So you know what? Did. More power to you. More fucking power to you to be like, I'm going to win. Let's already talk about my ideas for when I win. And then he won. So the pros and cons for saving Tony. I mean, they think that Tony is malleable. He's newer. They think that by saving him, he's going to be way more loyal than Gabby would be to him. Mm-hmm. That's the only pro. To be completely frank, that's the only pro. He's impressionable.
He's impressionable, and you know for a fact that he's trying. Like he's like, because Michael says in multiple calls, like, I understand a lot of people feel like it's hard to have a conversation with Tony. I also feel like it's hard to have a conversation with Tony. ... But he could be more loyal to me. My main issue, and it has nothing to do with Tony, it's just how the game has been laid out already. Tony and Daniel are similar in the sense of, like, say you let Daniel survive this week and Gabby goes. They are both viewed as, I can throw them up there and then I can take out the other person. Mm-hmm. So why it's like Tony is great short term, but he's not going. I don't feel like Tony is the type of person who will just stick to Michael's side the entire way. Mm-hmm. I think Tony will do whatever's great for Tony. Mm-hmm. And the second that he sees that, oh, Michael doesn't have numbers, he's like, okay, bye, bitch. I'm gonna make a TikTok again about it.
Yeah, Tony don't care. Tony's here for Tony.
I don't think Michael knows that. I think Michael thinks that Tony is going to be like his like ride or die now, that he saved him. So he knows that the rest of the house doesn't have a good relationship with Tony. So he thinks that Tony, like, I think Michael thinks he could walk up to Tony and say jump, and Tony will say, okay, how high?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, we know is not the case, but I think that's what Michael thinks.
Yeah, and I understand that perspective, and I get why they think that, because a lot of newbies are that way. A lot of newbies feel like they are looking for help. They're looking for someone to take them under and help them and guide them in this new world of orgs and all of the shit that goes in with it. But like, what's wild to me is all of the cons, and spoiler alert, Michael ends up saving Tony. Like, there were so many cons for me, and I'm sitting here being like, why is he even considering this? Like, sure, in his mind, Tony is way more useful and will be, I would say, loyal to Michael, and therefore, if he ever was to rise into power, or Tony is a crucial vote, that is very important to Michael, that he feels like he would have more sway than Gabby. But I don't think Tony's in a position to really help Michael. Like, having an ally is great, but if they're not going to be useful to you, if they don't have any power, then it's not really useful in Big Brother. In Survivor, a vote is way more powerful in Survivor. But here in Big Brother, you need power. You need them to win HOH. And yes, Tony had a very good outing in this veto, but did not have strong outings in the other two vetoes. Dead last place, for that matter.
Yeah.
Dead last. So it's like, sure, you could save Tony, but like Tony has no social capital. He's not winning challenges. Nor was he coming close at the time he's discussing this. We haven't even done veto results yet. So the fact that Michael's even like considering saving Tony after 2 last place finishes coming into this discussion, I was like, sure, he's loyal, but like, how long is he going to be here for? If he's the next boot, then like, you rocked the boat for what? Tony to be 14th rather than 15th? Like, it's not like it's Gabby where like you save Gabby and there's actual longevity for her, and like saving her actually has some change to the game. I'm not sure Tony has any longevity, even though Michael does save him. I do think he's still a very easy nom.
I think it just really depends on how the rest of today goes. Like, it's quiet right now, but the other parts is like, you have veto. This is power. Like, this is something. If you want to take someone off the block, you need to do more than just the sake of, oh, well, I'm taking this person off the block. Who's going up next to the person? Do you want Gabby to go home? Do you want the person who's getting replaced to go home? Who is the person getting replaced? What does Frankie think? I know I don't like him, but I know I need to talk to him. But I'm not going to talk to him because I want to be petty right now because Frankie left me on red, which, fair. But it's like you need, or the person you're taking off, do I want to build something so that not only do they have the ingratiation of like, or the gratitude of like, oh, I saved you from being evicted, I also have a group waiting for you, like, or like some sort of pitch, or even when they bring a pitch to you, say yes.
And yeah, I think that's my biggest issue with Michael using the veto is having all of his potential allies in his DMs being like, well, I don't know, I could be the renom. And it just feels like, wow, this is a person who's now gambling with my safety in the game after I've said, like, I do not feel safe right now. Like, so if you value me over Tony, like, please don't use the veto. And he does, which makes me feel like, okay, like, you don't value me in this game. Like, you're willing to sacrifice me as a nom. So why am I going to go to bat for you in the future? Right? Like, this is a social game. Like, you watch my back, I watch yours. And right now, like, you're showing that you don't care about me at all. So,
let's read him. I mean, we've gotten to the point I'm ready to read because yesterday Michael Brady made me very angry. Like, because I think Michael Brady is a very talented orger. I really do. I think he's very intelligent. But good Lord, it was not on display yesterday, in my opinion. And again, this is coming from me who played BBH9 without a care in the world. Again, like, and it feels very similar in that regard, where it's kind of like, I think Michael has lost sight of winning, and I think he really felt defeated and felt like the game was, falling within his fingertips. Like, I feel like he saw the lack of calls he was on. I feel like he saw Frankie winning HOH as a bad sign. Like, I feel like he just saw his game collapsing and he felt the need just to shake it up. And he felt like there was I think he felt in his heart that by not using it, that he was doomed and felt like he needed to do something to try and maybe give himself longer longevity when in all actuality, I don't think he's in like that bad of a spot coming into this. I was like, he's fine. There are certain people who absolutely would nominate him, and he definitely has dropped the ball on certain connections here. But so has a lot of people. A lot of people have. Like, the house is a lot, minus like Foser and Keisha and Sam and Preston, who are pretty almost universally loved. A lot of the cast is like 60-40. Like, 60% of people they talk to and have a good relationship with, and there's a good almost half the house that would nominate them. So it's like, he's not in as bad of a spot as I think that he thinks he is. But
it's the trap that you're in. It's a trap that you're in the house that, like, it's like, we all get it, and it's main character syndrome. Like, as soon as the word legend Just throwing out there. You've played games before. You have won games before. You have done well in games before. Suddenly, everything in your perspective is like, well, maybe that's why no one's calling me. Someone said that, oh, I've won games. He's a threat. We have to ice him out. And now suddenly you're in this paranoid spectrum of like, well, why would I even make an alliance? They just want an alliance so that they can get my info and then throw me aside. Like, and so it's me against the world mentality where like we keep seeing all this stuff in the chat and to be like, oh, Michael's going to create an army. But I'm like, with what? He doesn't want alliances. Like he literally is yelling at the screen whenever anyone's talking about making a group with him.
He doesn't want it. Like he didn't want to be in the alliance he's in, the Discord illiterates. He didn't want to be in that. I mean, and Tony literally called him after all of this went down and was like, do you want an alliance between me, Judy, and Michael? And these are two great allies for Michael. He just saved Tony, and Tony is ready to like do stuff with Michael. And Judy is like number 2 or number 3 for Michael right now. Judy has been climbing up the ranks with him. And he said no. He literally told Tony, I don't want this. Like, you just, like, and again, we've jokingly said, is there a right way to say no to an alliance? Apparently just saying no. Apparently just flat out saying, no, Tony, I do not want this. I like both of you, but I do not want an alliance chat with y'all. Michael doesn't want it. Like, it's so weird to me. It's like you rocked the boat, but then don't want to, I mean, you picked a side, but you don't want to form a side. It's so weird to me. But, like, yeah, I mean, let's get to the Michael Brady call tour. He calls around, testing the waters. Everyone is telling him, for the most part, Tony's going to go. I'm going to save Gabby. I have a better working relationship with Gabby. She's more useful to me. I feel much better with her if she was to win power than I do with Tony. And that's all he is hearing, which brings back to the point of this whole pro-con analysis. Like, there's less backlash if you save Gabby. She might feel like she owes you something. Like, yes, is she way more likely to think for herself and side with other people and her other connections over you? Absolutely. But, like, I think I know Gabby well enough to know that she will feel indebted for a little bit of time and feel like she owes you, even though she didn't feel like she was in any danger on the block next to Tony. But, like, Gabby's not the person to snake you immediately right back after that. Like, would she snake you in a couple rounds? Maybe. But you'd have at least a loyal soldier for a little bit of time, especially a loyal soldier who has actual power in this game, has social capital. But he's calling around and he's really gathering that it is either he saves Tony or Tony goes home. Because, well, I mean, spoiler alert, he won the veto. He won the veto handedly. Cool. And this is all during his call tour. He is still calling everyone and getting opinions. But once he officially won, he calls Sam immediately. Who Sam is like, if you're dead set on using it, which at this point, once Michael wins it, the conversation turns away from, what would you think about me using it, to, I am using it. Let's talk about who I should use it on. And Sam is telling him, use it on Gabby. Don't be stupid. Like, Tony is not worth it. As much as Sam is like, I like Tony as a human. Don't be stupid. Tony is not that useful to us moving forward. It's not worth the damage you're going to do to yourself, because the whole house wants Tony to go. So, like, why are you going to save public enemy number 1? And when Tony's not proven to be able to win anything yet, has not proven to be able to influence anything yet. And ultimately, and here's the argument that gets brought up multiple times, which I think is and Capo, you've already talked about it, but is my biggest issue. Sam literally said, I don't feel safe. If you save Tony, I could be the renom. People know that we are close because Lauren has gone around saying that we're close, yada, yada, yada. I can easily stay against Tony. The house will save me against Tony. The house will save nearly anyone against Tony. You put me up against Gabby, it's a legitimate fight, and you are gambling that I'm the second boot of this game. And for that matter, she's like, you're risking any of your allies against Gabby. You're risking any of them. Like, is Tony more important than Sam to you, than Lauren to you, than Daniel to you, than Judy to you? All the people that you seem to have a working relationship with. Is Tony more important than any of them if you save Tony? Because Gabby likely stays against nearly all of them. And clearly at the end of the day, the answer is yes. At the end of the day, Michael Brady wanting Frankie to get more blood on his hands was more important at the end of the day, when Frankie's not in a good position.
No.
Like, 70% of the house is telling you they don't feel safe with Frankie. You don't need Frankie to worsen his position anymore. It's already bad. It's already bad. Like, this isn't like Karthik or Sam or Foser who needs to be knocked down a peg and needs to have more enemies in the house. Frankie has plenty of people who will nominate him next round if they win. You didn't need to rock the boat to worsen Frankie's game. He's already in a bad spot. That's also a big issue for me. It's like all of this for a revenge tour against Frankie. Like, come on now. Just none of it makes sense to me logically.
It sort of goes with like what he said, I think in his prod chat or confessional something. It's like he's like, why are people afraid? Just make a move. Don't worry about the repercussions of a move that you make. It's like I feel like he's still in like a survivor brain in the early stages of this Big Brother game. It's like, just make the move. Who cares? Go for it. Why are you trying to hide from vetoes, from power? It's like, well, because the early part of the game, there isn't that much benefit to it.
No,
and it's not about having the powers. How do you utilize it when you do? And like, I don't care if he does very well in this game. Like, this round, he played it poorly. He handled power poorly, and he made a poor decision at the time.
And the house is angry about it. The house is not happy. Like, it's not like the house is like, ooh, sick move, dude. The house is like, what the fuck, dude? Why did you do that? That was stupid. Like, no one is happy with him. No one.
And like, let's say next round, let's pitch it here. It's like Michael's on the block with Lauren. Like, where originally, if he just sat back, let Nam stay the same, Lauren's gonna go. There's enough people with experience in these games and experience with Michael Brady where if Michael Brady's up there with Lauren and they are both vulnerable, sure, Foser was left on red for 48 hours by Lauren. But like, are you really gonna take out Lauren when Michael Brady's there being paranoid and doing whatever the hell he wants when he has power?
I don't know. I haven't watched a ton of other orgs, but in my BBH experience, like, this game favors those who lay a little bit low. I mean, if you look at the winners of the past couple of seasons, like, they are all people who had slow starts, got their like social game ingratiated with the house, and then did what they needed to down the stretch. Like, Michael Brady right now is coming into this game thinking, you know, I have this experience, like, I have this target on my shoulder, like, let me make all of the moves, where we've seen people who have succeeded in other orgs very highly come into this game and make it all the way to the end. Like, it's not, winning an org is not a curse in BBH. Like, it's, you can do it, but I think he's got this mindset of like, I need to go bigger than winning in order to like stay in this game, which is, I think, going to be his, well, I feel like I know is going to be his downfall.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Not think, I mean, it is.
There's a point in every season where the gameplay shifts from taking out the inactives and taking out the people who just no one has a vibe with. And the shift happens where, okay, we're playing the game now. We're going to start taking big shots. And he just kicked that off. He just kicked it off because at the end of the day, I see next round people being like, well, you wanted Tony to stay, then guess what? We're going to let Tony stay then. Yep. Because I used the same, when I played Instinct, I used the same logic. They kept saving someone who was never around and voting out people who were active and were playing hard. And I was like, okay, well, if that's the precedent that you're establishing, then great. When I nominate 2 active people and I don't put the inactive on the block, you can only blame yourself for this because this is the precedent that you have established. So I'm going to honor it. I'm going to honor it. You wanted Tony to stay despite the entire house telling you, Tony can go. We don't have a relationship with him. You wanted him to stay, then fine. You can go. You will go up and we will vote you out and Tony can play in your place because that's what you've established. Like, the game is now on. And that's what a lot of people were saying last night. They're like, okay, guess the game's on now. I guess we're playing now because clearly we've moved past house votes at this point. We've moved past house targets. So fine. He has kicked off the game. It's what he wanted. He wanted to stir shit up and he's going to get it. But I don't think he's going to like the consequences, in my opinion. I don't think Michael Brady is going to like where this ends for him. And I don't, he could have just sat back.
And I don't think his allies, like,
No.
How much longer is Sam gonna sit by and allow complain about other people, but be like, oh well, Michael, yeah, chaotic king. At what
I
point
mean,
is
she
she
went to her
gonna say
prod
this is
chat.
enough?
She went to
Yeah.
her project being like, Michael, she literally was like, why am I aligning with him? She literally went to her project being like, why am I aligned with Michael Brady? Like, he should have just let Tony go. This was stupid. This was a terrible decision.
And you
And
know what? The better players are gonna benefit. The Karthicks, the Fosters, the Ashleys, the Keishas, like they're gonna benefit from that.
his allies have other people. They are not tethered to him. They have other avenues they can go without Michael. And when he is on the block and they go, you know what? Being on this sinking ship is not worth it to me. There's no benefit to being on it. And he will pay the price, and I fully know that he will. I mean, Michael is a great competitor, and he can win power, and he's going to need it. He's going to need to win a lot to reshape his game in a better light. It feels very Kadri and Jeff to me in the sense of if they do not win, they're going to be on the block. And Jeff and Kadri were able to alternate wins and reshape their game because they kept winning and had the ability to then pivot. If Michael does not win, he does not have the ability to pivot. And with the next HOH being a literal luck HOH, good luck. Like it's not a schedule that benefits him in the sense of what the comp is coming up. So yeah, just a lot of things he did just really angered everyone. It was on top of everyone, all his allies being like, please don't do this. I don't feel safe. Like, I don't want to be a renom, especially against Gabby. Like, if you're going to save Gabby, fine, then like you do you. I think everyone felt okay against Tony. But like, he never disclosed to anyone besides Sam and Lauren who he was vetoing. But he told everyone, yeah, I'm probably going to veto someone, but I'm keeping it a secret, which also is a red flag left and right. If I am working with you and you are not even going to give me the fucking information about who you're even vetoing, also gives me red flags. Like, I need to know how to pitch myself to Frankie depending on who's going to be on the block. Like, if you're vetoing Gabby, I don't care. Like, put me up, I can say against Tony. But if you are going to save Tony and I'm up against Gabby, I need to be able to pitch myself to Frankie to keep myself off the block based on knowing that I'm going up against Gabby. But like, he kept everyone in the dark. I mean, hell, he fucking told Sam and Lauren right before he sent the video. It's not like they knew fucking for hours in advance. He left them in the dark for many hours too. It's like, Lord, what the fuck?
And especially, and he didn't resurface till 2 or 3 hours after the veto ceremony. And that is not a read. Like, everybody has real life stuff that happens that they have to take care of during the game. So like, him missing the veto ceremony, like, that is, his life. But in these games, like, communication is everything. So if you know that you're going to be gone for 3 hours during a major game event, like, you need to be communicating that, like, in advance, saying like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be here during the renom, but I am going to veto Tony, whatever. Like, you have to use the time that you have to like make the most of it. So if you're just going to like drop something and leave, like, that's a red flag to me. And I think that is part of why the house is so angry. Like, no communication in a game about communication.
Yeah. I mean, on top of he has thrust this house once again into a vote where the house is split, which also angers people. There are people on their project being like, I hate this vote. I feel conflict about this vote. We had such an easy round. It was so easy. We all knew what we were going to do. We had 3 days off, and you ruined that, Michael Brady. Like, you took that away from everyone, and now you've got people being like, oh my God, now I have to actually like call people on this Friday to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do because you couldn't just let Tony go. You couldn't just let him go. Like, come on. And it also doesn't help that his reasoning is also pretty garbage to people right now when he finally came back into the woodwork and people were like, what the fuck, dude? One, he told Daniel that he was sorry, that he's like, I wouldn't have used it had I known that you would have been the renom. You made no effort to talk to Frankie. In fact, you told people on call that you weren't even going to talk to Frankie. So you didn't even make a conscious effort to try and figure out who the renom would even be before you used it. You gambled with everyone's life. So no, you don't get to say that you're sorry because you never cared. about the renom. You openly said you did not care who the renom was. You cared far more about saving Tony and putting Frankie in a shitty position. So you got, like, when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You can't be upset at the renom because you never asked. So you can't sit here and be like, oh my God, I'm so angry at this renom. You didn't have to have a renom. You could have just left it the same. Like, what? Hello?
And I don't think some of them are thinking about it, but like I'm pretty sure several people went to him and he said it in his prod chat about like, oh, I do have a sinking suspicion that if I use it, Lauren will be the renom.
It could be Lauren.
Lauren, who is in his top half. I don't know where it is at this point. He says 2. He says whatever. It's like,
yeah, it also
works.
but...
But like,
yeah,
she's there. Like, and whatever you think about her, she's actively talking to you. She's actively trying to play the game with you. She's telling you that the safe move is to not do anything and just we can reconvene. And you're like, okay, you know what? Lauren's gonna go up and then she'll go out and I will have one less headache on my hands. And also one less person talking to me, but
yeah, literally all of that. But I think the thing that also is rubbing people the wrong way is after the veto ceremony, they were like, "Can you explain to me why you saved Tony?" And all he has said so far is like, 1, I think it's good for my game, and 2, I just like him, and I would really hate for this to be like a bad experience for him for his first org. And people are like, "But you didn't have the same sympathy for Marcus." So this logic is not standing up. Like, he's not even explaining himself well. People are seeing straight through that, being like, why is Tony getting a free pass on being an org newbie, but Marcus didn't? In fact, you were very vocal about being against Marcus. You were the first person to say, I'm evicting him. But yet Frankie gets a veto save despite all of the house wanting him to go. Like, it's the math ain't mathin'. It's not adding up.
I do want to also just, like, minus the Michael Brady of it all, I do want to give Tony his credit and his flowers for actually getting the chance to have a call and saying all the right things.
Absolutely.
And because Gabby could have easily said the same things. Gabby could have said, like, hey, I would understand if you didn't want to use it, but if you do use it, I would love for you to use it on me. Instead, she went to the approach of like, hey, we are friends, and like, I would prefer for you to use it on me, but I feel like I'm pretty safe in this position. Like, she didn't pitch it in a way for a Michael Brady to be like, this makes sense to me to take you off. If I'm already in my head saying I want to take someone off, where you have Tony going like, I wanted to work with you. Like, sure, I gave you information after the fact on round 1 that people were trying to get Marcus safe, but I gave you information and I see us as allies. I put effort from my end. So it'd be cool for you to reciprocate.
Yeah, Tony had a great call. Best call he's been on all season. Mm-hmm. Absolutely showed that he wanted to be here. Gabby definitely took the approach of, don't use the veto, dude. Like, don't. Basically what Lauren told him, what Sam tried to tell him, like, it's not worth it. Just leave the noms the same. I'm not going to be mad if you don't use the veto. I mean, she did say, if you're going to use it on me, but like, her recommendation was don't use it, versus Tony, who absolutely appealed to what he wanted, which is, no, use it on me. Use it. Use your power. Fuck up Frankie's HOH because they both don't like Frankie, which also helped, where Tony's actively being like, I don't like Frankie. Fuck this kid. Tony said everything he absolutely had to. And if you're Michael also, it's really fucked up if you say to Tony, I don't want you to have a bad experience. I know you're new to these. And then not use it on him. Yeah. Because then if I'm Tony, I'm going to everyone and be like, Michael's a little bit of a piece of shit. Like, he was like being so sympathetic to me on call, saying like how I wouldn't want your experience to be a horrible one. Yet then he doesn't use it on me. It's like, come on now. Like, I'm ready to go to war against him now. Now I'm making TikTok saying bye bitch to him and Frank.
Yeah. I feel like all of us on Prod knew, like, when that call ended, that Michael was going to end up using the veto on Tony. Like, it was just the strategy was there, the heartstrings were there. It was great.
Yeah. Hello. And while Michael is ghosting everyone, quite literally, and like not giving anyone a straightforward answer, The beautiful disasters are on call. Again, that's Keisha, Ashley Foster, and Frankie, where Frankie basically rehashes the conversation that Daniel had with him about wanting to backdoor Michael Brady, yada, yada, yada. And basically in and there, they decide, well, Michael's not talking to us. I don't know what he's going to do. Let's just have a backup plan in case. And they all come to an agreement. Yeah, if the veto's used, we're gonna nominate Daniel. And Frankie literally says, I don't care who Daniel's up against. I want Daniel to go. Like, it does not matter. Tony was his target all round, but he said, it does not matter. If I have to make a renom, the renom will go out. And they basically strategize the entire, I mean, they're on call for a long fucking time. Like, some of them like dip in and out to call other people, but they strategize for like nearly 4 hours about who they're going to call, what's the pitch, how are we going to get people to support a Daniel eviction, regardless of if it's against Tony or against Gabby. And I think that is all power to them, while everyone else is kind of sitting on their hands being like, I'm nervous, I'm scared, what is Michael going to do, who's Frankie going to renom? Yet no one made a conscious effort to at least even reach out to Frankie to be like, hey Frankie, there might be a renom situation, do you want to talk about it? Like, everyone just sat on their hands. It was dead quiet in the house, and I was like, y'all, your life is on the line here, do something. Like, at least if you get nominated, at least you can say, I tried. But everyone just kind of sat back and didn't do anything. Took the Madison Brown approach of like, I'm going to exist and breathe, and hopefully it's not me. And if it is me, cool. And you know what? I mean, funny enough, the one person who pitches for them to, well, I guess they didn't really pitch for their own safety. They pitched for a different plan to happen, is the one that gets booted or gets at least bumped on the block. So, I mean, maybe staying quiet was the move, but it was dead quiet in the house. No one was talking, minus the beautiful disasters. And that's what we end up with. We end with Tony being taken off the block, despite everyone's dismay. Well, actually, my favorite moment of yesterday was I specifically wanted Michael Brady to have his moment, because he had to send his video in a little earlier than I think he wanted to, because he had other commitments. I think Michael Brady full on would have sent it and given Frankie near to no time to make a decision. Luckily, Frankie had already made up his mind, didn't matter. So I wanted to give Michael Brady his moment and let his veto meeting like sit there for a few minutes by itself. And people be like really nervous about like what could be the consequences of what just happened. And Karthik ran to the time zone with Daniel and was like, yay, Tony's off. Because Daniel had brought it up in the chat earlier in the day, being like, I want Tony to stay. And Karthik's like, yay, Tony, work. And then literally a minute later, I post the renom video, and then right after, Karthik goes, what the fuck? So just seeing those two messages of yay, what the fuck, back to back was so fucking great.
Good.
Peak TV right there.
Yes.
Peak TV. But yeah, that's where we at least end the day. I want to end our discussion with the look forward to our eviction, because this vote is not clear at all. Not clear at all. I think we've got 3 people who are for sure voting out Gabby, assuming that they don't like side with the House, assuming the House goes the other way, and that being Jodely, Tony, and Madison. Daniel has put in a lot of work with them, and Gabby has not put in as much work. I think Tony might flip. Tony could flip, maybe, because Gabby hasn't completely ignored Tony, but definitely Daniel's a stronger ally to Tony, and I think Tony knows that. The people for sure voting out Daniel are Foster and Ashley. No doubt in my mind. The people who definitely prefer Daniel to leave, but definitely have allegiances to pro-Daniel supporters, are Lauren, Preston, and Karthik. I do think all 3 of them will absolutely save Gabby, but they're like people to watch. Like, how are you going to approach your allies who absolutely are going to disagree with you on how this vote should happen? Because we talked about it a couple days ago. It's like Megs did it so well in 17, where she's like, we can vote opposite. That's fine. Like, that's not a big deal to us, but we can still, truck forward. But there's a lot of Survivor players in this cast, and that's not how you play Survivor. In Survivor, you vote together, and if someone doesn't vote with you, they're an enemy. Here in Big Brother, you can vote opposite. That's okay, because when you're stuck in a duality, there are different stakes involved here versus I can vote anyone off the tribe. I'm stuck with these two. I have to make a decision. So you've got Lauren, Preston, and Karthik who are going to have some hard conversations today about why they're saving Gabby, despite their allies not wanting that. Judy, I have no fucking clue what Judy's doing. No fucking idea. She prefers Daniel to stay, but like wants to side with the house, but she also wants to stick up for herself because she sees, her not being in any alliances and feels like she's being left out. So she wants to like make put her foot down. I have no fucking clue what she's going to do because her closer allies are definitely pro Daniel, and she also is pro Daniel. But if the house flips the way that I think it will, it'll go in favor of Gabby. So then what does she do? Does she flip? I have no fucking idea what she's going to do. I have no fucking idea. You go.
Who's like Judy's like number one, like in her at least her trust rankings? Jodie?
I don't know. I mean, she's gotten very close with Michael lately. She's gotten very close with Michael. But I don't know who's. Truly, Judy is an enigma. Judy will be on call with people for hours. Like she called with Foser for 2.5 hours a couple days ago. Had a great call. Came back to her DR being like, I really like him. And they've chatted like nothing since.
Fuck
like
her.
Judy is so fun to watch because I never know what the fuck she's doing. And
Floater
she's
queen.
so fun. Floater queen, but like doing it well. Because no one's talking about her. And that's a queen. Yeah. Doing it well. As well as Ashley, I'm gonna give her roses. She's doing it too. Like definitely has her side, but she definitely is making good impressions with most of the cast. She's doing it well, and no one's talking about her. As opposed to someone like Preston, who definitely is in with a lot of people, but people are clocking him for doing the same thing Ashley's doing. Preston's more in trouble than she is. So go off, Ashley. I see you. No fucking idea what Michael and Sam are going to do. Sam's in alliances with both of the fucking nominees. I think she thinks Daniel's better for her game, but she's literally in an alliance, a very active alliance that supports Gabby. So I have no fucking idea what she's going to do. Michael is obviously pro Daniel, but if it has not leaked that Daniel wanted to backdoor Michael Brady, I don't even know if that would be something Michael even believes when he hears it. Because it's so ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. So why would Michael believe it? I don't fucking know. So depending on how that gets out, maybe that impacts Michael's vote at all. I don't know. Then Keisha, who the fuck? I have no idea what Keisha's doing. She's on the call with the Beautiful Disasters being like, no, I want Gabby to go. I really do. But for y'all, I will make a sacrifice. But then is calling certain people being like, yeah, no, Daniel needs to go. Then calling other people, no, Gabby should go. I don't have a good working relationship with Gabby. So I have literally no idea where she's going because her vote is one of the most crucial votes of the night, but she doesn't want to tell anyone her vote because she's so worried about the carousel chaos that there could be some extra votes or maybe like we invert who voted for who. Like she doesn't want anyone to know where she's voting in fear that it affects a power or affects the game. So like she's such a crucial vote, but is refusing to tell anyone anything. It's a mess.
I get fearing the wheel, but like I sort of feel if you allow yourself to make decisions on the game based off of fear of an unknown, like you're not going to be playing the game. Like, and not discrediting Keisha because Keisha's been playing very well socially. But I feel like you can't. Ultimately you have to make the decision with the information you know, and the stuff that you don't know, you just have to react to when it comes up, because no one knows what else is on this wheel. I know Dan's very excited about what's coming up.
We all are.
But like
truly,
also
the next 3 are so fun.
But also, if you base it off of what people are saying, people think Marcus left with the first advantage, or at least some people do. And Preston has come out and said, "Hey, I'm not allowed to compete in the next HOH," and you're gonna see he did not compete in the next HOH. So I guess it's her not trusting that information and being like, well, they could be lying. It could be something else. But at some points, especially early in the game, these type of choices, I'm like, just make your decision, play the game, and roll with whatever comes.
Yeah, she did say she was going to tell other players. She just wasn't going to tell the nominees. That way, like they couldn't do something to like her vote. I do think
it's so funny because like people are going to leak it.
With this cast, maybe not.
Karthik will be really influential in Keisha's vote because they're in that 3-person alliance.
Mhm.
And it's like if Karthik, who is self-proclaimed trying to run Daniel over
Run the
with a
bus.
bus,
Mhm.
Truly. Karthik's
For-
so funny to this prod chat. He's like, I'm gonna kill Daniel. And he's like, I mean evict. I'm just so used to saying kill. I'm gonna run Daniel over with a bus. I'm like, okay, go off. Anyway, back to Dan.
So I think he's going like if Keisha gets the okay from her other
Mhm.
alliance mate, like that can bridge Karthik into the beautiful disasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have the other, like, you have, I know it's not an active chat because it's an unspoken thing, but like with Primo, like Ashley is close to Foser. Foser wants Gabby to stay, so I'm assuming Ashley's going to side with Foser.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I don't feel like Jodeline cares.
Mhm.
Jodeline's gonna
wants Gabby
vote
to leave.
on the heart at the moment of like, okay, I like Gabby. Gabby will laugh at a joke I make in a chat, so I'm gonna vote for Gabby to stay, like type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately she's gonna see, oh, I may end up being the 6th vote or the 7th vote. Okay, lost cause. Let Daniel
I
sing.
think Joy recognizes that they don't have the either interest or social capital to really make a move. So
Do
I think
anything.
they,
Mhm.
and that's self-proclaimed just because of the time that they've been able to put into the game to date. That like I think they want Gabby to go, but like, are they going to be able to like do much beyond like making it happen, other than voting themselves? I don't think that's going to happen. So.
And that's how Judy feels. Judy's in the same boat. But again, at some point, you're going to have to stick up for yourself. At some point, you're going to have to show, I'm here to play too. Please include me. So I don't know when they decide is the time to stick up for their personal interests. Because I don't know. Because again, I don't know what Michael and Sam Lechner are going to do. There are a lot of key influential players that I don't know what they're going to do. But I think if Karthik continues to be as influential as he is, I think Gabby is for sure going to stay. Because last night he met with Ashley, who was already pro Gabby. I mean, but the big call that he had with Keisha, which was, yes, we're in an alliance with Daniel, but he's definitely in other alliances. I mean, he's in one other alliance with Karthik, which is why Karthik knows that. But Karthik fully thinks that he's in more alliances than he's leading on to, that he's trying to be loyal with everyone, that ultimately, and I love what Karthik said, and I'm going to steal this for any time I talk in the future, is that he feels like he's Daniel's voters, but not like, while they are in an alliance, he doesn't feel like he's in the alliance. He feels like he's just one of Daniel's voters. He just feels like a piece on the board. And I was like, ooh, I like that. I really like that. And yeah, I don't know. Because
He's so good.
I think Keisha has a lot of influence. Because everyone's expecting Keisha's vote tonight. A lot of people are expecting Keisha to vote with them, especially because Keisha's feeding into whoever she talks to. She's the perfect chameleon, being like, oh, you want Gabby to go? Yeah, I don't really talk with Gabby. Oh, you want Daniel to go? Yeah, he just doesn't. He's just so textbook. Like, she just feeds whatever she hears and feeds it right back. She's a perfect echo. So everyone's kind of expecting Keisha to vote with them, but obviously Keisha only can vote on one side. I mean, you've got also people like Lauren who are so active in being pro Gabby, but if she goes to talk to Michael and Sam about it and they're not happy with her, that's the thing though. It's like, what do you do? All of these players are playing for themselves. Michael literally didn't care about anyone today and said, I'm going to use the veto. So like, that's the fun thing about this game, is all of these alliances are happening and all these allegiances are here. But all of the allegiances are in opposing views of one another, besides the beautiful disasters. But even then, Keisha's in opposition in sense of her own personal interest. So I have no clue what's happening today.
Yes.
I'm betting my life Gabby's going to stay. But
And not to jump ahead a little bit, but I mean, we also had Daniel's house meeting this morning.
Daniel
on
did
day
have a house
6.
meeting.
So, I mean, people aren't talking about it right now, but I'd be interested to see if when Karthik becomes more active, when Lauren becomes more active, when some of these other players are up and chatting today, like if they're going to use that as more ammunition for Daniel to leave in this like cookie cutter textbook loyalty pitch of, oh, now he's just sending it to everybody at once. Like he's not even putting it in DRs anymore.
Like, he just full on himself in the house. Yeah, full on. And And again, for the second round in a row, this vote has nothing to do with the nominees. The nominees are both actually very busy today. That's why Daniel sent the House message, and Gabby's at work till like 4 or 5 Eastern. The nominees will have very little influence, at least until the late part of today. Everyone else, all of the voters, are going to influence a lot of this early discussion about where people are voting. So again, intrigued by that as well, because round one, it was very little about Daniel and Marcus. It was more about how people perceived them and how they talked about them to each other. So again, I think we're in that position again.
And I do hope people, especially the power players currently in this early portion of the game, see who's actively talking about how they want to vote or how they want to protect certain people. Because I think we're at a point now where, yes, communication is weird with this group currently, but I feel like there needs to be a little more aggressiveness from the power players now to like reach out to, like, Gabby and Foster should put extra effort into Lauren. They were laughing about Lauren wanting to save Gabby. I'm like, girl, use that to be the conversation. Like, use that, bring her in. Now she's feeling better with you guys after this round because you're having her included in the conversations. It doesn't need to be an alliance chat. Doesn't need to be an alliance chat. I will repeat that. But in your one-on-ones, that can ingratiate you instead of just being annoyed again about like, well, she just said I want to keep her and then didn't talk to me again. But what did you bring to it? You just said, "Oh, girl, work."
And you never know. Like, Lauren could win an HOH again, like luck based. You don't know. And any work that you put into with someone, not when they're currently HOH trying to make nominations, is better for you. Like, you can say whatever you want in the 3 hours that the HOH has to make their noms, but the HOH is going to be looking at, well, what did they say to me yesterday when I wasn't in power? Like, what did they say to me when they didn't need something from me? And I think they're all missing the boat on a lot of that.
I do look forward to a day when an HOH communicates with the entire house. I do look forward to that day because so far we've not had that. I do look forward.
If BBH17 was like so good because of like the strategic play, it's like BBH18 is gonna be so good because of the drama. It's like the HOHs are just like, hold my beer, and then they grab another beer. These people are
truly
every
they don't come back. They're like, hey, I'll come back and talk to you about the nominations here in a minute. 4 hours later. Oh, did you see my nomination video? You're good. We're good.
I got so much tea for you guys right now. I'm gonna drop it.
As BBH18, I fucked around and found out.
Oh, for sure.
Truly, they all did. And I did fuck around and I did find out, and I have so much to say. Let me get back to you on that.
I'm just waiting for someone to say they have a PSA and then post a video 2 hours later.
Truly, Ashley Harbison walked so these people could sprint. PSA 4 hours later sends the PSA.
Now let me get back to my game night.
Let me get back to Lord, these people and their game nights. Anything else people want to say? We've had an interesting 6 days in the house, including day 0. Anything people want to talk about as we enter into actual day 6? Where either Gabby or Daniel will be the second boot of BBH18. Anything we missed? Because yesterday was a lot. A lot.
No, I think we hit all the main parts for the most part.
The only part I just didn't get a touch on is I'm enjoying watching Michael Brady. I'm sure you guys covered off on it. Was it a good play?
He's so fun to watch. He's so fun.
It's great TV.
He's a migraine, but he's fun.
It's like I haven't seen someone so hungry for power that didn't need it since watching firsthand BBH15 and just watching the Lee Farrell story. So it's like, why not? Like, play around, play aggressively. He may be next boot, but like he's having fun and making it enjoyable to watch. So
as long as you're coming in and having fun, that's all that matters. If you're not
only
trying
one
to
person
win,
can win.
Yeah, only one person can win. And if you're not here to win, that's fine too. Like, have fun. And as long as you know you're not here to win, work. If you're just here to fuck around and find out and stir the pot a little bit, sure, go for it. Go for it. But when you go out, you can't be upset about it. So I'm intrigued to see. Today is going to be, my prediction is wild. My prediction is a lot of holding cards close to their chests and then complaining 5 hours later that they don't know where the vote's going. Because I feel like that's one of those kind of days where no one's going to be honest and everyone's going to be upset that no one's being honest despite them not being honest. But, no one said that we weren't hypocritical here in the BBH house. So I expect today to be full of a lot of nerves and concerns about where the vote's going. Some people want to vote in the majority, but no one knows where the majority is. Some people have some vested interests that other allies aren't going to like. And I think honestly, day 6 is going to shape a lot of the next couple rounds. I think how people handle today is going to really solidify or hurt other people's views of one another. So I'm excited.
Do we think we get a tie vote?
I would love it for this season.
It's very possible. We end 6-6. It's very possible.
When was the last tiebreaker? I guess
I don't know.
We had some I think we had one in 17 towards the end game.
No, probably. The end game just doesn't. Yeah,
But the end
ring
game's
a bell.
different. But
On the
this
live
early,
night?
a pre-jury tiebreaker.
I don't know that we've had a pre-jury tiebreaker in a long time.
15, right? Was there one 15?
I
know it-
Ashton broke a tie against me.
At live night
Yeah,
during the
sorry,
jury
Dan.
Rude.
at 9, but I don't know if we've had a tiebreaker this early in the game. To be
Be
honest,
fun.
yeah, I
Let's
can't
have it.
wait.
That's
I
what the
can't
season
wait.
deserves.
It
Because
does. We deserve
it-
it.
As I'm running the numbers, I mean, again, there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of unknown factors about how certain people will react to their allies being on an opposite page to them. So there's way too many factors to really predict something here. And I hate not giving a straightforward answer, but literally I don't know where this is going. So it could very well end 6-6 today. It very well could, where Frankie would obviously take out Daniel. So Daniel's in a position he has to get 7. He needs 7.
We said
6.
Carousel of Chaos, and they said yes.
Yeah. They said, don't need the carousel.
Yeah.
We'll just take the chaos. Don't need it. Don't need the carousel at all. We'll make enough chaos on our own. And let me tell you, the next 3 powers or disadvantages or advantages, whatever the fuck, prizes, whatever we're calling them. Ooh, y'all thought this was chaos. It's about to get fucking real chaotic up in here. Whew, I'm stressed. But
This worked out the best we could have ever dreamed.
truly, great work to whoever made up this twist. I know a lot of people were in on it. I was not in on it, so do not give me any of the kudos. I didn't have anything to do with this twist, so give it. I know Dan was involved, Max Teddy was involved, Stokes was involved. Give them all the kudos and credit because BBH18 is about to deliver on the content.
And we've gotten lucky, I will say, because the prizes and advantages, if anyone's curious, were completely random. And I would just say the boring ones kind of got out of the way.
Exactly, truly, too funny that literally the 2 worst advantages or disadvantages, they don't really do a whole ton are out. And we've got the 3 spiciest ones left. Truly so funny that worked out that way.
Yes.
But yeah.
And I think I personally think we are going to see Karthik, the one playing the Live Night Legacy Advantage at Live Night.
At this point, I would be shocked if he exits before Live Night. But again, I said Chris Yu was in a really great spot, and then Chris Yu went left or went right or whatever the fuck he did. And then
He said he went left.
That's right. Yeah, he said he was going to go left, but then went right, and then went out the next round or went out that round.
What a
So
great time!
And it would be a shame if that competition popped up right before Live Night.
It would be so unfortunate if it made its return and ruined someone else's game.
Or maybe everyone will play it how you thought it was supposed to be played.
With this group, if Michael Brady is still in this game when that comp comes out, which is very, very soon. Good.
Well, you know what? With this group, they'll just leave each other on red for the full time.
Truly.
You think
And then
Tony's
get
going to
mad
tell
about
anybody
it.
where he's going?
No one knows.
Honestly, it might be back-to-back luck HOHs. Spoiler alert, it's at 13. It might be back-to-back luck HOHs with how this cast is playing, so that'll be fun. But stick with us. We'll evict someone around 9 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll probably kick off Deal or No Deal tomorrow on Saturday because Josh is unavailable tonight. And unless someone wants to host it, and we'll host people tonight, but likely we will do all the Deal or No Deals tomorrow. This weekend is a quick round. It's only a 2-day round. We crown an HOH on Saturday. They make nominations at the end of Saturday. Sunday, throughout the day, they do the veto. And we evict someone Sunday night. It is a quick fucking round. So bad timing, Michael Brady, to piss off the entire house because they can swiftly just knock you out of the game. like that. But
Mhm.
HOH winner more crucial than ever in this house because everyone is not aligned
Mhm.
It's
on
going to be
house
a Madison
targets.
HOH.
And carousel winner as
Carousel
well.
winner is gonna fuck shit
Very
up too.
important
Yep.
this round.
Whew,
Melissa
it's
for HOH.
not Melissa. God help us all.
Or
I'm an
Amanda.
Amanda fan personally.
Amanda.
Amanda for HOH.
Melissa or Amanda for HOH. You heard it here first. Alrighty, y'all. We're going peace on out for a lovely day 5 for the BBH18 camp of me, Dan All, Crystal K. Powell, and Alex Trias. Peace on out. Join us in the Discord, and we'll catch you tomorrow at our regularly scheduled time at 10:30 Eastern. Bye, everyone.